Welcome to Perfumetok, the Multiverse.
Where smelling good is our superpower.
First of its kind podcast assembling your favorite fragrance enthusiasts
to harness your own olfactive superpower.
Exclusively sponsored by Brown Sugar Babe.
Hi, my name is Funmi and I am a beauty, fragrance, and lifestyle content creator. I'm also a licensed professional counselor based in Dallas, Texas.
Hi, my name is Khadija. I'm a fragrance content creator. I've been doing it for about 2 years, born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts.
Hi, my name is Zoe. I am the perfume princess on TikTok, LTK, YouTube, whatever. I'm a fragrance content creator. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, but I'm based in South Florida now.
Hi, my name is Jade at Jade on all socials. I'm a content creator, but I also graduated with a biology degree from Howard, and I currently work in a clinical lab. And I live in DC, but I'm from New Jersey.
Hi, I'm Elsie James, nearly nose blind on my social media. I am a photographer, copywriter, and essentially if you've got a paycheck, I've got a talent, and I'm based just outside of Washington, D.C. We all come to this and to fragrance and to content creation from very different walks of life and perspectives. But the unification is that we're all just a little bit feral for fragrance. It's become a major part of our lives. So if we had to bounce some things off, Funmi, your house is on fire. You've saved everything that's valuable and important. What bottle are you saving?
I'm taking Exalté. It's limited edition. It's limited edition. I'm taking the big bottle because that's the one people are going insane for. Like, people are reselling it for 10 times the price on eBay. I wish I thought of that first. But I'm definitely taking a big bottle because I think that's definitely going to be a collector's item in several years. And I'm looking forward to people asking me, where can I get a vintage bottle of Exalté?
Literally.
Because Exalté is your baby.
It's my
That
baby.
is what you have
It might be.
launched.
I'm 33, so who knows? It might be my only baby.
Same question to Zoe though. What are we saving? It could be a couple.
A couple. Definitely Elle d'Absence by Louis Vuitton. I think it's like one of the most underrated, uber feminine, classy scents that just can work year round, different seasons. I mean, the list would be quite extensive, but that would probably be like my number one. I think it's a safe one.
It's a grab and go until you're like, okay,
Absolutely.
the smoke is actually here. Let's
Yes.
Jay, what about you?
See, we were talking about this yesterday, and my immediate response would be like, oh, let me bring my expensive bottle, Selena Exclusive, Baccarat. But after yesterday's conversation, I think I'm grabbing Silk Santal in my backup bottle because that might never come back. I can get a Baccarat whenever. I can get a Selena Exclusive whenever. So right now I'm thinking Silk Santal.
The Silk Santal.
Because the bottle that I have open, there's probably like a third to a fourth left, but I have a backup bottle that I bought as soon as I saw a restock. And I haven't seen one since, so.
We're going to edit that out. Nobody needs to know. Make sure your address is very
I'm on people's Rob list.
You're the top of it. Absolutely. What about you?
Dead stock bottle.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm going to have to say it's going to be a Brown Sugar Babe bottle.
Yes.
It's going to be probably Madam. I'm like 99% sure in my will I'm going to say that I need to smell like Brown Sugar Babe when I die.
Just tell
it's
the
one of my
embalmer.
favorite. Yeah, it's literally one of my favorite. Sometimes I just wear that alone. So.
And it's a great segue to how we met as well. We were all invited to the inaugural Brown Sugar Babe brand trip in Atlanta last year. Brought together a bunch of wonderful people through all walks of life. All of us united both with what Makeda has created with the brand and what we have all created
And
together.
that was most of our first brand trips.
Yeah.
It was
mine, yeah.
Definitely.
I was clocking number 10.
Technically, it was my second, but it was the first one that I was invited on.
Okay.
'Cause that was,
Yeah.
I was invited during the summer. Second
I
one
think it was my first Black-owned brand trip. I will say that. And like since then, I've actually gone on more, which I love because I've observed in my time doing content creation, I've observed so many other Black creators going on brand trips. I've been on a few myself, but it's so nice to see brands being able to have the budget to spend to bring out creators and to also just show appreciation like that. Like, I think Black-owned brands have a higher hill, that they're climbing up when it comes to growing and being able to really forge those connections that come so easily to other brands. Like, we see really lavish trips from like the Tarts that people are dying to go on, which I think that's their whole thing, right? Like, you show these lavish trips and it makes other creators excited to go on them. So they talk about them more, hoping, oh my God, like if I talk about this brand, I'll get invited.
Yeah.
And Black-owned brands historically haven't really had that. because they just kind of depend on people following them for the cult following of whatever product it is that is, going viral, but not necessarily hoping to get the attention of the brand for a trip or for PR or for things like that. So I think seeing that from Brown Sugar Babe was really exciting, because I know they're still pretty young, in comparison, but they did it so well. They were really organized. I felt at no time that this was a brand that was trying to save money.
No corners cut.
They didn't cut any corners.
Yeah.
So that was really nice, and it's inspiring, I hope, to other upcoming brands as well.
I was thinking the same thing. I feel like it should be inspiring to brands that aren't even upcoming, because I feel like when this whole thing was being planned, there were so many brand trips and things that were just not inclusive, not diverse. Absolutely. And the fact that this small business, and I would still say Brown Sugar Babe is still up and coming.
Yeah,
they're still up and coming. There's so much room for them to grow. So I feel like it's the fact that if they could do this, it should set like some type of, I don't want to say standard, but set the tone for other brands to be able to be like, we can do the same thing in even these huge brands that haven't been doing stuff like that.
Absolutely.
I think the sentiment that really meant a lot to me on the trip is, Makeda is the brand owner of Brown Sugar Babe. She kept reiterating the fact that we were worthy without having to prove anything else. I think, as we were saying, these big brands sometimes make you feel as though you have to jump through all of these hoops. You have to be the perfect person.
Yeah.
But I think brands like Brown Sugar Babe, I appreciate when they say I see the creation that you guys are doing, the work that you're doing, and I'm going to reward you for that.
Words of affirmation is my love language. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Makeda always gives us our flowers for sure.
Yeah. There's such I look at this obviously like, hi, I'm Casper the Friendly Ghost. As a queer person as well, there is a difference between being brought into a room and standing in the corner, being the token as someone in the room, and then being the first thought in someone's mind, not to fill a diversity quota, but because there is a recognition. And we can pull the numbers, we can pull the stats, I'm not going to pull them off the top of my head, but Black women drive the fragrance industry. They have in marked numbers for the past several years, and that is a cultural phenomenon as well. So to see the disparity between the people who are consuming content, who are purchasing and who are creating it, and then who are represented with everybody's lavish brand trips to wherever, what Tarte send people to.
Turks and Caicos.
We're having Bora Bora, Dubai. Where in the world is Tarte?
That's sort of why I think we're doing this as well. Is for all of us are in different stages of how we make content and how we interact with this world. And at least for me, I'm not interested in anybody going through any of the struggles that I went through.
Literally.
There's also the concept of, I do this probably a little too much. I'm permanently tea-stained from everything I spill. There's a little behind the scenes that goes on that people, I think, don't know about. Some of it's bad and some of it's interesting. It gets you views, but some of it's really good, too. There's a big difference between, a brand deciding they're going to reach out to you and send you things, and there's an implicit understanding that you post, versus Makeda, who gives a damn how you're doing in your life.
Exactly.
She checks up.
Yeah, she cares.
But the way that she showed up for me after my car accident was insane. She always thinks of us, and she always makes sure to remind us of our value and the fact that Brown Sugar Babe is as successful as it is because we are the driving force and because we are essentially the commercials. We are the people who are, putting people onto these scents. And I just love the fact that, like I said, she always gives us our flowers and always acknowledges us and makes us feel seen in this industry, whereas a lot of other brands, tend to overlook us.
Yeah, and wasn't the theme gratitude? I love how she was so grateful for her content.
Absolutely,
and actually showed that we do make a difference in her business and that she acknowledges that and that she's so happy about it, because I feel like so many brands will just think of content creators as disposable, with or without you, I'm gonna succeed.
Exactly.
But it's
about that.
Debatable.
Debatable. I think ultimately, being a content creator and your trajectory for success comes down to how you're able to build relationships. And I think that with Makeda recognizing the importance of nurturing relationships, I think it really goes a long way in being able to have just continued success with those people representing you too. I think a lot of times when brands just see content creators as someone that can just market a product for them, you see them, for example, go on trips and they're like, yeah, this mascara is the best mascara I've ever used. And then they leave the trip and you never see them mention it again.
Exactly.
I also understand as content creators, we get a ton of PR. So we do have to talk about the 20 other mascaras or XYZ product pending in our purgatory of PR.
Yeah.
But I mean, ultimately, you see the continued use of that product without any type of sponsorship, without any type of incentive, as a real indicator of how much like this person really loves it, but also how much this person is invested in the success of your brand as well.
I will say, like, probably at least half, maybe even more of like my full get ready with me's like body care routine, from shower to perfume, will have brown sugar babe in it.
Always.
Sure, yeah.
For sure.
Always. That's a staple.
That's the important thing to recognize too. In addition to being the reason that we were brought together, Makeda and Brown Sugar Babe have also been the financial, emotional, psychological support for this podcast. So we're obviously very grateful. But this is not to say, oh, the people are so nice, she's really sweet, you should buy it. They're really good.
Literally.
They're really good.
It's a good product.
Amazing.
Case in point, my husband, who is 6'4", 280, looks like the kind of, drives a Ford F-150, wears Carhartt boots. I don't have my Brown Sugar Babe oil bottles anymore because the man bathes with them. So I think that's an indicia of quality. So yes, please go buy all the Brown Sugar Babe and enjoy it and have a great time with it.
And it's important to note which one he's wearing, because
Madam.
that's a big factor.
Madam.
It's not even something that's like super masculine.
Raspberry,
Picture
vanilla.
a husband and now understand that Madam is my favorite fragrance. So very opposite spectrum of not only like aesthetic but taste, and really is the great uniter.
Hey, so with that being said, like, if you're looking to try Brown Sugar Babe, try Madam, because we all love it. We all love it.
And I've said that in my videos. I'm like, this was like universally everyone's favorite when we went to the event last year.
really
Like, it
good.
is so good.
But that's a good question, though, because the other thing we bring in addition to different experience and walks of life is we all tend to have fairly different fragrance preferences. If you could, in a couple of words, describe kind of what you like to smell like, or notes, or just images.
I'm a gourmand girl through and through. I think now, knowing you guys, I feel like I'm trying to branch out a little more, but like at my root, I just want to smell like a cupcake. I just want to smell like a cookie, and I keep it simple. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes I feel like online, people try to make it seem like it's juvenile, but I feel like that's just my vibe.
There's so many different gourmand scents.
Yeah.
So many different directions. But I would say I'm a gourmand girl, but I feel like I'm also a vanilla girl, because some gourmand scents for me are too gourmand.
Yeah.
Like, did you see the video I posted about perfumes I hate? And I said lemon tart smells like Lysol and butter.
Because it
Like,
does.
I don't want to smell buttery. I don't want to smell super bready. I could do a little like Crumb Couture, because it has that like sweetness and fruitiness to it.
Yeah.
But it has to be a balanced gourmand. But I do love vanillas. Anything vanilla, I love.
Yeah.
I'm a fresh and clean girly. I like fresh out of the shower, your skin but better, musky, soapy. Like, oh, I just love it. Fresh, effortless.
I think that if I had to describe my fragrance taste, it's just expensive. Like, I want to smell like you can't afford me. I love just ultimately like gourmand fragrances, like you mentioned, like anything that smells like a bakery. I've always kind of joked that my fragrance taste is juvenile, like in the fragrance space, where everything is kind of pretentious and everyone wants to like the most exclusive raw materials and ouds and just really exotic notes that people probably watch my videos and think, this chick has the most basic ass taste. Like, she's probably still wearing Jessica Simpson fancy and stuff like that, which
Because it's good.
because it's good. But also, like, I think because I'm 33, I'm in a stage in my life where I want to smell and look the way I see myself. And I just see myself as someone who has invested a lot. Like, I want you to smell me and see me and know this person has spent a lot of time on herself. Please do not waste 1 second of her time, because 1 second of her time costs more than a whole day of your time. And so I love an expensive fragrance, and I love a gourmand, and I love smelling sweet, really girly pop. I would say, if I had to describe one word, very expensive girly pop. Dollar sign, girly pop.
Is that where you pulled inspiration for Exalté?
Absolutely, because once again, everything I do in this space comes down to opportunity and opportunity cost. And I understand, as a Black creator, there historically has been very limited opportunities for us in the fragrance space. I'm seeing more of it now, and I really, really love that. But at the time that I was approached, I just thought to myself, this might be it. Like, can you imagine the despair, also kind of knowing, well, this might be the only time someone wants to do anything with me, because at the end of the day, a lot of brands do value numbers over value. You know, like it doesn't matter that you have 200,000 or 100,000 followers. This person has 1 million, this person has 2 million, this person has 10 million. So their social cost or their social value is just higher than yours. I thought if this is the only fragrance I ever make, I want it to be signature scent worthy, but I also want it to represent the stage I am in my life. Exalte, I'm not French, y'all. I'm from Texas. And I made a C- in French. So my pronunciation represents the C- I made in French. But exalte itself means to be celebrated and to be elevated. And every day when I log in online, like that's how I want to feel. Like if there is every day I log in and I don't feel good about myself, I'm logging off.
Yeah.
Like if I ever come online, I'm like, I'm comparing myself to someone, I don't feel like the content. I mean, can you guys relate to that?
Absolutely.
Just
At all
knowing.
I can relate to that because when Lamont Gremond approached me, I was like, why me?
Yeah.
Like there's so many
The
people who have more
imposter.
numbers, like you were saying. There's people who have millions of followers. Why do you want to work with me? I don't know.
I think it's
not-
value, like being able to see your value, like saying your numbers are insignificant to the value that you're bringing to this project.
Yeah.
And Exalte is a signature scent, and it's my swan story. You know, like I think it's a fragrance that can transcend time, and it's my Chanel number 5 as far as just making something really iconic. I pray that this isn't the only thing I ever have.
It won't.
Knocking on wood.
It
I
won't
don't
be.
care.
It
Knock
won't
on
be.
wood. But I also understand that having other opportunities comes at the cost of me making them for myself. Like they won't invite you to the table. So what do? You build a table.
Build a table.
You know?
Which is kind of similar to what we're doing now, right? And I feel like it is similar to what you were saying. All of us in whatever we do, and it's why I've really gravitated to all of you, is we try to like uplift people in whatever space we're at. And I think it's like one of the goals of our podcast is to make creators feel seen, valued, understood. And I really feel like this is just the beginning of where we really could take it. And I'm so excited for that.
It started a movement. It started something.
That's my core philosophy. It's why I started making content. Was I'm like a hippy dippy weirdo, but when people start asking you for things, not even from the perspective of, oh, help me smell, like, because you know how people get on TikTok. I love them, but some people will give you like paragraphs of things I want to
It's
smell
real
like.
specific.
Oddly
This is a
specific.
consultation at this
Yeah,
Literally.
the notion of like my entire fragrance taste is just to be the sugar daddy that you should not go find. So my
Not Mr. Big.
Mr. Bacon.
He was like the most, like, can we talk him? Very toxic. Like in
Yeah.
retrospect,
awful, heinous.
very toxic.
I was
But I
literally
do want
watching
to
it
smell
last
like
night.
him.
You know what? I've been rewatching it on Netflix. I'm not gonna lie. He did look like he smells very good.
Yes,
Like just off the top of your head, if you had to give him a signature scent,
Mr. Big?
Mr. Big, what's he wearing?
Immediately, he is wearing Acqua di Parma Futura Colonia. It's
Okay.
it's a fuckboy fougere, but
Okay.
it's got some story to it.
It's nice though.
Yeah, the entire fragrance vibe I bring to a party is move. I'm looking at your dad.
that.
That's the general
me
premise.
millionaire.
Like, it shows
Like
him
very
the vibe.
Oh, he's
millionaire to me.
Yeah.
multi. That's why she kept, that's why she kept circling the block with him. She
Exactly.
couldn't let go of Mr. Big.
Hello.
He had a big pocket.
Hello.
A big pocketbook.
But there is a fun thing that happens with. You've talked about these diabolical little boys buying Toscavat. And we can all unilaterally agree. I don't really care how with 2 significant exceptions, I don't care how attractive you are. You smelling good does not erase you having a crappy personality.
Absolutely.
And if you're wearing if I can smell you from across the room, maybe unless you're wearing Exalte.
Unless you're wearing Exalte. But Exalte wasn't created to be smelled across the room.
No,
Part
it's-
of that was also like I see fragrance as something that is a privilege. Like I always say my time is a privilege, which is why my friends always joke I'm the fastest blocker anyone's ever met.
As you should
because
be.
She
even
gets
1
down.
second of my time, like please, like what if I died? My last message was me going back and forth with you about 50-50 on a date. No way. So I say all this to say, like, to me, Exalte is a privilege of a fragrance. Like, if you are in my bubble, you have the privilege of smelling me. But if you're across the room, like, no, because not everyone gets to be in your bubble. Like,
Exactly. Exclusivity.
But I should note for the record, though, that my standards for men and my standards for women are very different. And part of the reason I'm enjoying being here is like all of them are very pretty. This is a good time for me. Pride Month came early. It's a good time. And I feel, Funmi, all of you have very different journeys with content creation and mentorship that you can provide to people. And I wonder if there's anything you would say whether it's regards to comparing yourself or how you're making things or the perspective that you have, because we all have pet peeves when it comes to both content creators and social media. But if there was just like one piece of advice you'd give to people who think, I'd really like to start talking about fragrance, I'd really like to start making things, what would you tell them?
Start honestly, and I know numbers matter, but I'm like a small creator, and I've had so many amazing opportunities that I can't even believe like I've reached these milestones before even hitting like 20K. And I think it's because I have like really stuck to being myself and just like building relationships with people in a way. And I feel like people feel like, oh, I'll never get to do that unless I have 1 million followers or something like that. But really, if you just show up authentically, I believe that that shows up and people will relate to that.
Yeah.
I started creating content on TikTok because I started on YouTube and I didn't feel like I had a lane for myself in YouTube. I felt too stuffy and I couldn't really relax the way I wanted to share more of my personality on YouTube, because it just felt like you have to know the correct pronunciations, you have to know, just everything about raw material. It just felt way too pretentious for me. Like I couldn't really relax there. TikTok was a great avenue for me as far as being able to segue into talking about something I really love, but in a shorter form content. So the more you do it, the more now I do feel comfortable to go on YouTube. But the biggest lesson I've learned, and I say this as part of someone who is on Sephora Squad, I joined the first year and did not expect to actually apply because my manager forced me. I saw so many other people applying that had way more followers than myself. I think I joined at 30,000 on Instagram. There were people that had 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million. People that were getting thousands of testimonials. I had like 25. I think I had 50. I'll give myself 50. I'm gonna say 50 to be generous, but I just was so much in my head regarding, well, why would they even pick me out of all of these? There's so many other people that are better qualified than myself. There's people that talk better than me. There's people that I think create better content, but ultimately and objectively to the brands, right? Because that's kind of what the partnership is about. Yeah. But ultimately, like what stood out to them with my application was my personality. They said, we love your personality. There are people that do what you do, but we like how you do it. And that's the message that I want to give everybody is like, lots of people can do what you do. Like there are hundreds of fragrance content creators. There's 5 of us here at this table. Yeah. But are they doing it like you do it? Or are you doing it like they do it?
Thank you.
And were you silent or were you silenced? So that's kind of, the question I want you to ask yourself when you put out content, because I reviewed the applications last year with Sephora Squad. And there were a lot of people that applied, but when we looked at their applications, we're like, you create content like the 100 other people. So we had 14,000 applicants. You create content like other people, right? Versus we like how you create your content. Create your content.
Yeah. Make what you want to make and don't target it.
You don't have to make content like someone else, no matter how successful it is. Just make content like you do it, because your people will always be drawn to that. The people that come to my page, they come to my page for a specific reason, but the people that come to Khadija's page or Zoe's page or Josie or Jade's page. I wanted to combine Josie and Jade. I was like Josie, Jade, and LC. Like people all come to your content for different reasons, but they're all valid reasons. Like they don't have to be better than. Like no one has to be better than someone else.
People will come to your content for you.
Not
even like, I feel like I could talk about a perfume and there's even people that I follow, and even Elsie, your perfume taste is so different from mine.
It's wildly different.
I go to your page and I watch your content because it's you. Whether I know, even if I know I'm not gonna like the perfume that you're talking about, I'll still watch it because it's you.
Yeah.
What I appreciate is that all 4 of you like my videos, even when I'm talking about Star Wars for 3 minutes, which is just the model of a true friend. But that's what I would say.
Interesting.
My pet theory is everyone has something they could talk about for 10 minutes straight, uninterrupted. Follow that, embrace that, because there may be 100, 1,000, 10,000 other people who think the same thing or who want to talk about it, and they don't have a place to go yet. So sure, yes, you can talk about what everyone else is talking about, and you can steal content from all 4 of you and think that that's going to make you successful, or you can be a little braver and a little bolder and say, actually, no, I will actually talk about the significance of the arc of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and somebody's going to need to shut me up pretty fast in relation to fragrance, because other people wanted to hear it. Other people want to hear about what you do, how you do it in terms of chemistry. They want to hear also you not only have excellent perfume taste, you have excellent food taste. Truly. You have an incredible.
Sorry, can we talk about how I feel like a lot of perfume girlies are also
Foodies,
But
absolutely.
when you think about it, your sense of taste and sense of smell are so connected.
Exactly.
So it just makes sense.
Yeah, it's
I
very
made a controversial
interchangeable.
post about that once. I took down, which
remember
I
that post.
regret.
I
I'm gonna
don't
I'm gonna
remember
pull it
that
back. But I said something about the fact that like a lot of times your openness, your willingness to be open to trying new foods can also be representative of your taste in fragrance.
Absolutely.
I have a friend that only orders chicken fingers when we go out. Like we traveled out of the country. She's not gonna watch this, so I'll say it. We traveled out of the country together, and we went to like Morocco, like Ghana, like very exotic locations with really cool food tastes. And she was like, "Can I get a chicken salad? Do you have chicken fingers? Like, can I get?" And I was just thinking, "Girl, I'm like rolling my sleeves for like, I'm like double fisting fufu and jollof rice." Like, and she's like, "Do you think I can get a chicken salad?" And but the thing is, sometimes like I've realized that your taste can sometimes also be reflective, like your fragrances as well. Like maybe someone that is not very adventurous with their palette will not be adventurous with their smell. So maybe they prefer like a light blue by Dolce & Gabbana because it's palatable and it's easy, right? Versus something that's a little more complex from
Definitely go
I feel
hand in
like
hand.
People just be realistic when they're seeing certain videos and hearing people talking about oud and all these notes.
Yeah.
If you know that is not your type of thing, and then you buy the fragrance or you smell it and you're like, "Oh my gosh, it smells disgusting."
It's done.
Like,
It's
be
done.
realistic.
You
Be
lied.
realistic.
It smells like grandma.
Baby, my taste is not your taste.
And
that's okay. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not shade because those brands like Bath and Body Works and brands like that, they make fragrances that are supposed to be mass appealing.
Exactly.
And that is okay. There's no shame in saying, you know what, my nose is not able to appreciate these types. Because even me, I'm like, sometimes I feel bad because there's very viral fragrances that I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm sophisticated enough to understand. It's like caviar. The first time I had caviar, I was like, I don't know.
But this is my hot take. I think there are a lot of people who have seen the explosion in the fragrance market and they decide to hop up in a lab and put together, frankly, some vile combinations.
Frankincense.
The fucking Franken stuff, Franken fragrance.
Franken fragrances.
Or the garage.
Is there like a
basement.
specific note that any of you guys have that's always like an immediate no for you? Like something that's just like,
Mine,
no.
I know that you guys love, so I'm gonna hope that this is a safe space to say
It's
this.
a safe space.
But it's saffron for
knew
me.
it.
What?
It's saffron for me, honey.
Oh, saffron's so rich. For me,
love
it's like I
saffron.
cannot stand leather, and it's like a typical thing because it's like there are some fragrances that are always going to be like an exception, but leather, iris, tuberose. I cannot stand tuberose. It is the most old lady, stinky floral. Oh my god, I can't stand it. I can't. I'm sorry.
Not too
I
much.
feel like now I don't have a note like that anymore. Maybe still neroli, but even then, I used to be like neroli and orange blossom. But as I've gotten into it more, and I guess my nose has developed or whatever, I realized there are some fragrances that have those notes, and I like them. So I feel like I don't even have a note that I would never wear because it depends on how it's blended together.
That's why I say typically.
We can put
Not today.
Gunpowder. Gunpowder.
Oh yeah, no.
Blood, gunpowder, cement.
Ooh, Jesus.
For me, it's not even a note. It's a fragrance structure thing.
Okay.
Like, I'll try anything. I don't like it when things are poorly made and this is also a little bit of my background, like working in a little bit of development. There are things that I can smell that I can say, you know what, like this is not for me. Like the newer Kayali, what's it called, the candy?
Vanilla candy?
Yeah, vanilla candy. It's not to my taste. It's too sweet for me, but it's a well-made fragrance.
Right.
That is going to work well for people. I have an issue when people use very cheap materials and don't put things together in a coherent or artistically significant way and then put a $300 price tag on it, and I will not be naming names because
I think I know exactly.
You know, and I will say that I agree with that because that was something I struggled with when I first launched Exalte.
Yeah.
People make comparisons to like other fragrances and they're like, why would I buy Exalte? It smells just like Rose's Vanille or it just smells like Rose Gourmand from Zara. And people that like really like fragrance, they were like, while it might smell like that to your nose because maybe you don't really pick up nuance, they said, you can tell this is a really well-made fragrance. Like you can tell they use high-quality material. Yeah. To me, it's like putting a steak from like Outback and then like a steak from, a very exclusive steakhouse, like a very nice steakhouse in front of me and telling me, well, they're both steak. Yeah, technically they're both meat, but obviously the one of them uses, you can't tell me a Kobe steak and a steak from Chili's is the same.
Yeah.
Come on now.
This is my conspiracy theory though. I think that there are people who Like for me, you can pry the Bath and Body Works Sleep Black Chamomile out of my cold dead hands. I think there are people that secretly love that. They want to go to Sephora. They like Coco Mademoiselle. They like the Versace's, but they need to feel superior to everybody else. So they're going to say, actually, no, this is more exclusive. And the reason you don't like it is because you don't get it. The reason I don't like it is because I felt like you just shoved me into like a goat stable. It has nothing to do with my taste, and it has everything to do with the fact that this reeks.
Yeah. When I see reviews and they're like, it starts off fecal, I'm like, so it starts off like a diaper. Like that's how I want to. I want to go around smelling like I had an accident on myself.
Well, the language of fragrance and the language of fragrance commentary, which like has evolved, like there were blogs in the early 2000s, has been a very white space. It has been a very like an older space. It's been a very male space. And so everyone creates language and decides this is the form you're going to use. And then when content creators, especially content creators who aren't white, decide this is how I'm going to talk about this, now we're wrong about how we're speaking about it. No, actually, like, now that being said, I do love something skanky. I do love kind of like a skanky situation. But there's a reticence to accept that people experience fragrance in different ways and have different cultural conversations. Which goes to, I think, a lot about how you all present yourselves online. All of you have talked about the tension between wanting to be yourselves and knowing what you can and can't do. Funmi, you were talking about deciding between, do you want to be the niche creator or would you like to maybe pay your rent?
Can I just say, as a Black woman, I cannot smell skanky. Like, and when I say
you
skanky,
can't.
I don't mean like going to the strip club. I meant like that barnyard fecal thing, because cleanliness is something that's like really, mandatory for us. Like, because historically, like, people see us as dirty. So like when you see videos where, like, I love clean talk, but someone made a joke saying, y'all are putting bleach in your bathwater and you're doing too much. Like, you're not clean. It's just sometimes it's going too far. But I see how this to say, like, there are certain fragrance notes that I don't think I could ever feel comfortably wearing, even psychologically, even if I enjoyed the fragrance, because people will think I stink. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I'm already, like, people are already looking at me like I'm a monkey. Like I'm, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't want to add a barnyard scent to an image that people are already projecting on me. I don't see myself that way. I think I'm a beautiful, expensive woman.
And I've noticed that, like, working in the perfume industry, I've noticed like the different type of scent profiles that different ethnicities tend to gravitate towards. Like a lot of like white men were like the green, foresty, masculine, kind of smells. The Black men like the really fresh and clean type of scents. And I feel like a lot of us really like a lot of, like clean scent. And I feel like that's also subconsciously like why I like smelling clean. And then like, obviously the Middle Eastern men, they liked a lot of oud and saffron and things like that. So it's just interesting, given what you just said, it's definitely like an alignment there.
Yeah, like think of something
earthy, like really, really earthy, like you said, skanky, barnyard type fragrance. I'm like, I understand the artistry, but I also know, oh my God, like if I wear this, people are going to think I am a smelly person.
That's how we talk about.
Zoe's point really made me think about how there needs to be a way or like a class in which we describe things that we don't like, because sometimes certain scent notes are so integral to people's identities, where they come from. And on the internet, everyone just wants to get like a quick one-liner, but sometimes it's really offensive to like people's cultures.
No,
like,
seriously.
Like saying,
stink or something like that.
When I went to Dubai, I was able to smell so many different types of like just raw oud before processing and everything. Different ouds smell different. So just because there's one oud that smells like barnyardy or like, shitty, not all of them smell like that. Some of them have more of a
candied or flowered or
And body chemistry is also like super, super important. I remember I met with a rep from Guerlain, and before you're able to smell anything, they sit you down and they ask what your diet is like. Are you an indoor or outdoor person? Because literally when it's like you are what you eat is like so straightforward. The way that we sweat, what oozes out of your pores is a direct reflection of what you put in your body. And that's why they have these things about, women smelling good down there when you drink water and you eat pineapples and things like that. Like it's a real
in a hematology lab, that is so true.
It is absolutely
like,
true.
When you eat more meat, more uric acid, a lot of men have a higher uric acid level. That can like
And it disturbs
affects
the
how you
balance.
smell,
Exactly. And
everything,
it even plays with your nose too, because I have a friend of mine who I, have helped her really get into fragrances, and now she has like a huge collection. And there are certain fragrances that I love, and she loves them on me, but doesn't love them on herself. But she's a 420 friendly girl. And a lot of notes like really clash with it. It's like if you do that daily and that smell kind of almost sticks to you in a sense, like she never smells like it.
Yeah.
But if that's like something that's a normal part of your day, it definitely impacts the way that the fragrances, perform on you.
Interesting to me when people are so passionate about something, say that I love, in the comments like, oh my God, this smells terrible. Like, it smells terrible on you,
baby.
honey, because it smells real good on me.
But Funmi's making a really good point, and it's a conversation we've all had privately. And I'm sitting here again, Casper the Friendly Ghost, addressing it. The privilege of being white in America is not just that I get reached out to more for opportunities, but it's also that I get to talk shit a lot easier. And I also have a latitude to smell weird, to smell dirty, to smell, as
Bloody.
people like to
Just
say.
kidding. Sorry.
You'll never catch me
But what's baked into the oppression of Black people in this country is also this idea that there is something less clean. Obviously, I'm like,
you're spot
I'm editing
on.
this, so I don't have to be taken out of context.
You're spot on. I mean,
You
back
don't
in
have
this,
the same
we couldn't
latitude.
even go to public pools, like because we were too dirty.
You don't have the same latitude to do it. That shapes taste. And on the internet, I feel like there's just nuances dead. Everyone's like, actually, this is just, it's better and you're wrong.
Can we talk about this? Because I also want to know your perspective. I feel like because, black women feel like they always have to be super clean, smell good, or whatever. I don't know what you guys think, but I feel like in general, sometimes, like, let's say Black people smell better than white people. Because have you seen those videos where it's like white people smell like pennies?
They do.
And wet dog.
Oh.
Not saying they do, but I'm saying, like, do you
Allegedly.
like you guys that's normalized, you get away with it, and then people aren't going to say that to you like in your regular everyday life or whatever? Like, I don't know what I'm trying to ask.
No, I know what you're trying to ask. The fact of the matter is, it's true.
I think it doesn't help that there's content, like people put out content saying I'm on day 72 of no showering, or like people like Ashton Kutcher,
They don't wash their legs.
and his wife said they don't bathe their kids frequently, so
but it's like,
they're very open about it.
we have to be like
Poor
And
hygiene.
still are not labeled
clean,
dirty.
super clean and everything, yet people still will be like, oh, she's dirty because she's Black, or she looks dirty and ghetto or whatever. But it's like when you see the videos about white people, and not all white people, for sure, not all.
They're just the ones
but
open
it's
about
like
it.
they're saying they haven't showered, and
It's
they're a
gross.
nurse, and they haven't showered in 5 days, and you literally work in a hospital where there's infectious diseases and bloodborne pathogens and all that stuff, and you haven't showered after a shift.
It's I will say this. The experiences I've had being around people of different cultures, white guys stink. Like, and part of that is the onslaught of the Axe body spray. Not Axe particularly, but the notion that went around in the sort of 2010s that you can just cover up your stink. And then you've got these freaking people who should never be given a microphone, because like the longer they talk on a microphone, the faster their hairline recedes. Who are like, no, like it's your own manly musk. You should sit in your musk. Please, actually, God, don't. So no, I think you're right, and it's part of that is I do think it's a diet and body chemistry thing, and how we respond and digest different food. I've noticed people who are lactose free, most fragrance tends to play really well on them. Like they have sort of a wider palate.
Yeah.
But it's also it's a cultural thing too, because that's
it's an
not a
acceptance
latitude
thing.
you get.
Because I don't believe sincerely that if you grew up with a parent that you had to take a bath every single night before you went to bed, and they really, really instill cleanliness on you, that you become an adult and you're just like, screw it. Once a week, change my underwear. I swear to God, some people just turn their underwear inside out. They're not even putting on a fresh pair.
I will say.
So like, I think, so that's why I also kind of see this idea of cleanliness as something that most people don't just abandon unless there's a serious mental health thing going on, which I talk about with depression and anxiety. Sometimes like you kind of don't care anymore.
And whenever we talk about this, people always are like, what about people who are depressed? I'm never talking about
No, I'm
them.
not talking about.
I'm never talking about the extremes. Stop saying the what about. I'm not talking about them.
What
I'm not.
aboutism is, but
Yeah.
you make a great point, because I noticed, because I struggle with a cocktail of mental illnesses. I noticed my depression getting worse when I'm like, oh yeah, the hell with it. I'll just like, I don't need to put perfume on. Like I'll put deodorant on.
I feel like it's a feel good, smell good, look good, feel good. Because wearing perfume makes me feel better. It makes me like it makes me feel like I'm doing something.
Yeah.
So if I was sad, getting up, taking a shower, getting ready would actually make me feel better than just staying in bed.
I
But
100%
honestly, I know
agree,
everyone's not like that. Everyone's not like that. But it's like feel good.
It's a structure
Makes
thing,
the
I think.
effort.
Like it's routine. Like you start neglecting like the routines that you follow every day. If your routine is you get up every morning, you brush your teeth, you wash your face, you bathe, right? It's routine. You put on your perfume. Maybe you do your makeup and hair. Then you start to slip from that routine. It doesn't start with like I just stopped showering. It's like, oh, I guess I won't do my hair today. Like I usually curl my hair in the morning, but today I'll just put it in a ponytail. Then I just don't feel like doing my makeup anymore. Then no perfume today. That's not a big deal. And then it's no shower. Then it's I don't change my clothes. Then it's I don't clean up.
I can't get out of bed.
You know what was an interesting point though in this conversation? The way that like race and our stories go hand in hand. I think something that you were talking about, Elsie, was how you get to be a self-proclaimed loudmouth.
I do.
But I feel like for the rest of us, sometimes we're just straight shooters. Like we say what we feel, and we get labeled as like problematic or like
I'm angry.
a hard personality.
So and so saying that. I'm like, then don't watch
when we're
me.
simply just saying like our opinions on our pages.
Exactly.
I'm angry and I'm aggressive.
We've talked about this a couple of times. I have a lot of latitude to be really inflammatory. You all do not. There is that label that's put on. So one of the things I'd like to say, if you're thinking about creating content or you do and you're white, please consider what you are able to say that others aren't. So if you're going to engage in that advocacy, and I've struggled, like I also am just a little prickly sometimes, and occasionally I say things that I probably shouldn't. I'm a Scorpio. But also consider, if you're going to advocate, are you advocating for anybody beyond yourself? When you decide to take those steps, are you actually in any kind of community with Black content creators who are having an issue that they can't talk about, that are comfortable? If you I hate the trite phrase of using your privilege, but if you have the ability to speak about something with fewer repercussions, I think it's an obligation, just like an ethical obligation, to make sure it's not just to your advantage.
I will also quickly say that whether it's perfume or politics, when you get online, you have to truly believe whatever it is you're talking about, because people will try to undermine anything you say. But for me, like confidently, when I go online and make any video, I truly in my heart believe anything that I'm saying.
Yeah.
You have to have a strong sense of self.
I have a strong sense of self, and I feel like I'm motivated by my own moral compass. So that allows me to be able to say and do things without like fearing how people will react.
Say it confidently.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And you've talked about this is before you make content, have a strong moral compass. Have some kind of internal guidance.
Or be like genuine, because I feel like people will get online, even with perfume or broader things, they will say anything, but they don't believe it.
Exactly.
You know? And that's where you get like your foot in your mouth kind of thing, because now you have to double down on something that you don't believe in, or now people are questioning you and you don't have answers.
That's you talking about the mascara once, you know, and never bringing it up again.
And I feel like one thing that has helped me stay genuine is like truly looking at making content as something that's fun for me.
Yeah.
Because once I start looking at it, like obviously there's money to be made here, and like I don't want to do a disservice to myself by not like taking those partnerships, doing everything like that. But at the end of the day, like the partnerships and everything that I do still has to be fun, because if it's not fun, then I'm not being genuine, and then I'm being fake. And I feel like that is so easy to see. And what we were talking about earlier about like tips to content creators, I feel like it is so easy to see through when you are not having fun and when you are not being yourself and when you are not being real. Like it comes off as fake. So yeah, I always try to look at my content as like having fun at the end of the day, because that's why I started. So
Funmi, you brought up this notion, going back to this, about like how depression works and how it scales. I guess I'm curious, just like from your perspective working with mental health, have you seen that fragrance, not even like a particular kind, but just having that as part of a routine or part of self-care has made a positive impact for anyone you've worked with or for yourself?
Yeah, when I used to see my clients like in person in my office, I would always burn, I wasn't allowed to, but I would burn candles in my office, because I think that it set a mood for people to feel relaxed. Like coming in and bearing your soul to someone and being vulnerable can be really tough. So creating a space where they can feel like, okay, this feels safe, you know? And even, you know, I would have clients that would ask me, you know, what are you wearing today? You smell different today. Like, what do you have on? And it's just like a way to ease into a conversation, you know? I also feel as though fragrance is something this is what I always joke about when it comes to fragrance content. When people say, I get compliments on this fragrance is actually something very easy to compliment someone on versus their looks. Like, it's very hard to come up to someone and just say, wow, you're so beautiful, or I love your face. But it's less intimidating to say, oh, wow, you smell really good.
Yeah.
And not even, I want to know what you're wearing, just, oh, you smell really good.
It also opens the door because I feel like people love smell, right?
Yeah.
You open that door and then like you can relate to, oh, what fragrances do you have? I feel like I've made a lot of friendships.
Yeah, a lot of conversations off of that.
Yeah. I
Conversations in the bathroom.
And hello.
Oh, you want
But I think like fragrance is something that, you know, when it comes to does it smell good or not, that's a really easy thing to ask yourself versus do I know how to put on eyeliner? Can I do this perfect wing liner without having to practice 100 times? You know, it's very digestible. Like you don't have to be an expert on fragrance to know whether you like how this smells on you or not.
And I will say that is part of what makes the fragrance community so diverse is because you don't have to look a certain way. You don't have to like have a certain figure. You don't have to have anything like that. Like
Are the brands listening?
Right,
There's
really.
even like people who literally don't even show their face, and you can still talk about fragrance without having to look a certain way. You don't have to do your makeup to sit on a
And I was
in front of the camera and talk about fragrance.
I was gonna say that when you asked earlier, like, what's the advice you'd give to someone? I'm like, literally, just pick up the camera. Do not wait until you have that expensive camera and the lighting and this, that, and the third. Pick up your iPhone, get your ring light, whatever. Get you a little Alex Earl clip-on light for like $20, $30, and get to work. Literally, it's just like don't overcomplicate things. If you wait for the perfect opportunity, it's never gonna present itself.
Yeah, and then touching on that again, and also what we were talking about, and just like what Funmi was saying about fragrance making you feel better. I started as a creative outlet. Not even on purpose, but like it was during quarantine. My days were very repetitive. It was school, and we had also like gone home from school because of quarantine. So I was at home, not even on campus. Everything was the same. I was working in the lab, and it would just be school, work, school, work, school, work. The only thing that could really switch up my day and make me feel excited was putting on a new perfume. So I feel like that's kind of what got me into it. And then obviously I just posted about it, posted a few perfume tags. People asked me questions. I responded to their comments. And making video responses as well is such a good tip because you build a community like that when people feel like you're answering their questions. It makes them feel special when you answer their questions and you're talking to them.
It makes you feel good too. I think we've all had like brides be in our comment sections or people who are looking for something to help remember someone. It feels purposeful.
Yeah, it does.
To be able to.
There's nothing better than knowing like you helped someone pick their fragrance for such a special day. And I've had someone tell me that like, oh my gosh, based on your recommendations, I wore this on my wedding day like that. Can I frame this? Can I hang this on my wall?
Can we talk about your point about community really quickly? Because community for me is so important. I started my fragrance journey like in a really rough spot where I felt like I didn't like have my core group of friends or whatever. And not to get all emotional or emo on it, but you guys really are. Even before the podcast, like just relating to people online and feeling like, oh, you guys know me or things like that. Like we can talk about the dark sides of the internet. There's really light to it too. You can find your group of people.
And I remember in Atlanta, we were saying this, how when we all met up, and I've met Elsie before, I will say that because we're in the same area, but even like me and Zoe, me and you, we met at the airport. Me and Funmi, nothing ever felt awkward.
Ever.
It never felt awkward. And I was so thankful for that. I didn't even expect it to be awkward.
Yeah.
It was just like,
meeting people for the
Everyone's
first time.
down to earth. Everyone is like, no one was being pretentious or condescending or like, oh, uppity. And you have this perception about like content creators.
I left it in Dallas. I left it in Dallas. I left it behind.
Like Funmi, your personality online is the same
You are
personality you bring in
exactly who you are.
person.
Exactly.
So it's not even like nothing.
You know what it
not
goes
that
back
you-
to though? I think it honestly goes back to
expected.
having real friends. Like honestly having a life offline. Because although my friends are not social media people, I don't have any friends that are influencers. But I have friends that like they watch my content and they support me with a like or a comment occasionally, especially when I send my sponsored content. But they watch my videos, and my sister especially, she will call me and be like, that's not even how you talk. Like I remember I was so nervous when I first got on camera, and like I had this very like, hey guys, my name is Funmi. These are the most feminine fragrances. I'm like, girl, you don't even talk like that. What do you mean? Because it's like a comfortability thing. But it's also knowing like people I know in real life are watching this content. And they're just like, you don't talk like that. Like that's literally not how you talk. That's not your affect. And I just think to myself, it's so much easier to be the same person. So when people do run into me, they're like, oh yeah, Funmi really is like that. Like she really did say, get folded like a lawn chair. She really does spray perfume on her ankles. Like
I will say that there is something so liberating about knowing that people in real life will see your content online, but not caring. And I feel like that is another side effect of making content online. You just become more confident, and it's like,
definitely.
I don't care if this is going to be cringe. This is something that I like and I want to do.
I feel like I'm still working on that, especially when it comes to Instagram, because Instagram is so like Instagram's
different.
so different. It's so different. And then Instagram is like all my college friends. It's not mostly perfume.
Yeah.
So like, oh my God, like if I start posting content, they're gonna be like,
Who does she think she is? An influencer?
But sometimes you just have to do it. As what Zoe was saying, just pick up the camera and do
And I
it.
highly recommend, honestly, if you're a content creator watching this, please diversify your content on different platforms, because there's so much insecurity with only posting on one place. Like the fact that, I don't know if this will actually happen, but like the fact that TikTok could get banned shows you that like at any point your main income stream can just get knocked away. Like sincerely repost your content on different platforms. Brands still do love Instagram. Like they love it because of stories and the ability to track links that you can't do through TikTok. And also just even doing a mailing list, like have a mailing list, have a blog, like repost on YouTube Shorts. Just know that a lot of times you can stop your own bag because you don't have multiple places where they will pay you to advertise it. Like I've doubled my income at times because they said, oh, can you actually also repost this on Instagram and your YouTube Shorts? And I was like, damn, imagine if they, like, can you imagine basically limiting yourself? So I always say whatever you can do to keep yourself open, don't limit yourself to one place because of like what it might look like to someone else. Because at the end of the day, the check has got to clear. I don't know if I can say anything, but I don't give a damn if like my college friends are like keying in the group chat, like, do you see that ad Funmi posted? Yeah, and the check cleared. Did you see me driving? The check cleared.
Compensated.
The
other thing about that is I think we all have come to some kind of income through social media through different lenses. I don't do as many ads, but posting on Instagram in particular opened me up to doing product photography for brands and to doing consulting. So if you don't diversify, if you don't have a way to show what you can do on multiple platforms, it might not be just ads you're blocking. There's a lot of, I think, creator income models that you can follow. But yeah, for the love of God, don't just post on one.
Don't limit yourself. Like anything you do in life, don't limit yourself to what success might look like to you because of one person or because of like how somebody else is doing something. I always say the best way to really come into yourself is to be a little uncomfortable. Like, yeah, it might be a little uncomfortable posting because your college friends are probably thinking, why is she posting all this? But to be honest, the thing about it is you have to get through that uncomfortable stage to really get a breakthrough, and sometimes like one thing I encourage for Black women especially, I always say like, please get the bag. This is a $1 billion industry. And even with Sephora Squad, like I always encourage everyone, don't limit yourself to one thing, like one avenue. If this is a place where you're trying to grow a business, like a lot of people create content for fun, which is fine too. Like I know people that they don't care about getting PR or getting opportunities because they have truly found people that love something that they love and they found friends and they go to meetups and all that. But if you're trying to generate money and like change your life, because people are literally out here changing their lives. We talked about several creators with content. Don't limit yourself to only one kind of content or even one niche. Be open to being uncomfortable, to pivoting, to changing, but you never lose when you bet on yourself, ever.
I think that's a fairly accurate description of me, is I tend to do things for a lot of fun. But you find that it creates opportunity and power, and you can be uncomfortable. And then what can happen is like what happened with Zoe. We were in Atlanta. We went to a restaurant, and someone out of the blue came up to you like, it's the perfume princess. I was like, oh, is that your friend? And you're like, I don't know who he is. Yeah. It was that wonderful kind of
the excitement they had to see you.
Oh my goodness. It's definitely very reassuring, and it lets you know that like you are on the right path. People do see you, and that has been happening a lot more frequently. Like I went to 2 different Sephoras in South Florida, and I mean, they literally, like when I got to the register, the young lady was like, are one of you guys an influencer? And I didn't want to say anything. And then my friend was like, it's her, she's the perfume princess. And she was like, oh yeah, because when you came in the store, the little speakers that they have in their ear, they announced that I was like in the store, so like everyone in there too. And I was just like, this is so awkward. But I mean, it's a beautiful thing though. It's like, it's definitely, I won't even say bittersweet. Yeah, it definitely is. It's just like, again, that imposter syndrome and feeling like, why me? Or like, do I deserve this? And you know what I mean? So yeah, it's definitely it's a beautiful thing, and I'm like super grateful for it. But sometimes it's just like,
like, why are you looking at me?
And about the imposter syndrome, I feel like
there's actually no reason to even feel like embarrassed about creating money, like generating income through socials. Yeah, because a lot of people like just see, oh, you're selling out, but like you can still be picky and discerning with your alignments and your partnerships. And there is truly nothing that you like to do that you cannot generate income from. Keith Lee likes to eat food, and now he's generating income from talking about food.
But can I ask a question? Because we do talk about the imposter syndrome that we all innately have. How do you guys combat that? Like, what do you do?
I fake it so I make it.
I struggle with that a lot. I struggle with my own self-image all the time, and I'm the person very comfortable. Like, this is a stunningly uncomfortable situation for me. But you have to continue to have fun with it. And also, this is a hard lesson to learn. If you are not your own biggest advocate, no one else will take that up for you.
Absolutely.
If you don't know how to sell yourself, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't have that confidence, no one is going to go, oh, well, then let me do that for you.
Yeah.
You have to believe your own BS.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, it's sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay.
For me, it's two things. It is one, like, I am a thespian. I'm a theater kid. So for me, it's literally acting. Like, I just have to act and believe it. But two, my relationship with God definitely is like the biggest thing. And it's just like, I don't know. It's almost like, you know how they say, like, you have to have faith. But if you worry, then it's like the antithesis of having faith. And so it's like, if I really believe this, like, I have to walk as if I already have it. So the imposter syndrome it's still there, but it's just like, I find my identity in God, and also, you know, like, just being able to, like she said, fake it till you make it, and utilizing those theatrical skills to make it not look that way. And it's also kind of the Leo in me. Like, we always kind of carry ourselves, and people assume we have all this confidence, but it's really just a front, because we're really just softies on the inside. And it's like, I'm literally so in my head about it and so strategic, and it just looks effortless, but it's not like that.
Yeah, I'm a chronic overthinker. And
Virgo.
yes.
Very Virgo of you.
Scorpio moon, so I really feel it.
Oh my
deeply.
God, wait, hold up. Me too?
Wow.
Virgo sun.
Two Virgos.
Scorpio.
The same birthday.
Yeah, we have the same
Scorpio
birthday.
moon,
And then,
was
is it-
Capricorn rising. I have a Capricorn rising. Maybe some
Okay, so I'm Virgo rising, right? Or Virgo moon.
Yeah.
Virgo moon, Scorpio rising. I think it's based on your time of day that you were
Yeah.
born. So mine is Scorpio.
You're rising with Scorpio? Okay, my moon
I'm a
is
Scorpio rising.
Are we
Okay.
doing our signs? Okay,
I'm a Scorpio
Gemini.
sun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Your big three?
my big three: Virgo, Scorpio, and then Libra.
Okay,
is
I can
my-
see
Libra
Libra.
moon?
Libra is my
Your moon?
my
Or Venus?
Venus.
I'm
Oh,
I'm
my
a Libra,
Venus
Venus,
is
and a
in
Scorpio
Leo.
rising.
It's crazy.
I don't know what
I
any of
have
this
the
means.
Virgo sun.
I would
Yeah.
expect
moon.
Virgo sun, yeah.
I don't. All I know
Moon is your rising sign, right?
No, moon
No,
is like your
moon-
inner self.
Yeah, moon is your emotions.
Yeah.
And your rising is how you present yourself to the
Present
world.
yourself to the
before you
world.
ever open your mouth, how
Okay.
I perceive you from across the room.
Okay.
Venus is more like love
Love.
and romance and things
And
like
also,
that. And your sun is like your
desires.
ego.
It can
Okay.
even, like,
I actually am a
desires
double
into, like,
Scorpio. I'm a double Scorpio.
shopping.
I don't know if you finished. Were you finished with your answer? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I just fake it
Okay.
till I make it, and even like with the whole Amongamon thing, I really was like, why are they picking me? But I was like, well, they picked me, so I'm gonna keep taking it. I'm gonna take it, but I was like, why me? It was in the back of my head, and then once I started doing it, I will say that kind of sentiment wasn't something that I was constantly thinking about once I was really like into it, but then. Sometimes I still think about it. Now with the launch coming up, I'm like, why me? Like,
Yeah.
why?
Because you deserve.
No, but we'll be out when we talk about it.
Yeah,
the
we are.
podcast. Yeah.
Very
I
excited.
will say this. I think for myself, two things that helped was in therapy. My therapist would ask me, where did that come from? Whenever I would say things about myself that were not true, she would say, well, who told you that? Like, who told you weren't interesting? Who told you weren't smart enough? Who told you weren't good at XYZ? The call was coming from inside the house. So I started, asking myself, like, for example, when I started to diversify my content, something I still really struggle with is, does anybody even want to see this from me? But then I said, well, no one told me they didn't. Like, no one's ever sent me a DM and said, no one cares about this for me. So why would I stop doing that? The second thing is, when it comes to imposter syndrome, the second thing you have to do is just stop saying, are you sure? Like when, for example, have you ever been in line and someone say, oh, you can cut in front of me? And you're like, well, are you sure? No, you asked me. So
Just say it.
I'm just like, well, you asked me. I'm like, thank you. Yeah.
Somebody compliments you and you're like, oh, really? Or like, just say thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And so I realized that when you start doubting everything about yourself, like, it does cause people to also doubt you too. Like, am I sure? Actually, no, you can't cut me. Like, if someone offers you money, like, well, are you sure? I don't care if you can pay your rent. You offered it. Like, you should have thought that. You should have thought that through before you made the offer.
Because if it's not you, it's gonna go to somebody else.
Yeah, it's like, well, thanks. So you just have to start, first of all, asking, well, who said that? Who told you that you weren't good enough? Who told you that your numbers weren't strong enough? And even if they did, well, do I think that? Like, does that really matter to me? Are you someone that I value an opinion from? Like, if someone tells you something, like, are you someone I would generally take advice from or even care about what you think about me? And when the answer is no, like, it's like those maps, right? Where it's like, yes, then move down, then no, then stay here. It's like,
I think for myself, when it comes to imposter syndrome, I think of all of the times that it has lost me opportunity. I've wanted to do content since the like OG YouTube girls, like what was it, peak 2011. Like I've always wanted to do that, but I always felt like nobody would watch me. So now, like coming full circle.
Imagine if you would have started then.
Imagine if I would have started then.
Oh man, I would have started when I actually wanted to, but at least now you started, like, and it's going good. But it's like, it always makes you think, like, you can be, what's the word?
But you know what? Also, I think that life is also about timing sometimes too, because like imagine if you had started when you had, and then you still like doubted yourself, and you just stopped doing it forever. Like you just decide, well, content creation just isn't for me at all. Like sometimes like you start things at a point in your life when you're ready to start it.
Absolutely.
Because you can start something, and like I said, like when you're not sure about yourself and it doesn't do well, like people abandon things all the time. Like when I first started creating content in 2018, there were a lot of bigger accounts than myself, like people that had 100K, 200K, a million, that they don't post anymore for whatever reason. Like they just stopped. Things happen in life, or maybe they just felt like, okay, I'm not growing this, there's no point to this,
or
and they just
content creation journey is over. Like I feel like I can't see myself being a person like with family and kids who still like, I'm not gonna post family content. I can never see myself doing that. Maybe when the time comes I could, but it's like maybe like that journey for them, that was the end of it, and now they're on to something else.
But also we can start things before we're ready to start them.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's kind of like,
that was kind of my point, because I always just start. It's like being uncomfortable. Just go through the motions until you're at a point where you're like, I feel good about this.
Because I read something recently that Monet McMichael had been doing YouTube for like the last 10 years. I did not know that. And so it's like on the surface, we look at her like, oh my gosh, all of this success in this short period of time. And it's like, oh honey, she's been doing this, been putting in the work. Look at Jackie, you know, she really paved the way for like so many other content creators. And now she, especially, you know, is where we're especially women of color, Black women, all of it. And it's just like, but I definitely resonate with what you said, as well as Funmi, in terms of like feeling like who's gonna want to see this, because it's so weird, because I promise you, on everything I love, I had never seen a fragrance content video ever when I first made my video. I was actually doing content like I started on YouTube. I was doing like hair videos, try on hauls, travel videos, and I always loved fragrance. I had like a nice little collection. I had my niche stuff and everything. And one day I was like, I really want to talk about my fragrances because I have so many and I love them. And I'm like, who's gonna want to see this? Who's gonna care about the notes of the fragrance or anything like that? And I was like, what the hey? You know, the worst that can happen is it doesn't do well. I did the video, it blew up. And then they were like, can you do a men's one? And I was like, actually, my dad is who got me into fragrances, and I love men's fragrances even more than I like, I mean, you know, it's all, you know, unisex, whatever, but I prefer like the masculine smelling smells, not for myself, but I appreciate them. And I know a lot about them. And I did that video and it blew up even more. And then that's when people were like, yo, you really know what you're talking about. You're good at it. You're very well spoken. And that's when I realized like I could actually do this. And so I started to take it more seriously. But I definitely doubted myself at first because I was thinking about like what everyone else was going to, but I found my community after I made that video. And that's when, you know, YouTube started suggesting all these other people. And the first person I remember seeing videos of after creating my own and realizing that there was other people who made fragrance videos was Sheree. Sheree C. Like, I love her. She's the first. YouTuber? Yes, she's more on YouTube. She's on TikTok and Instagram as well, but she has a really good platform on there.
On TikTok, I was like, oh my gosh.
I love her. And the thing, I just remember that was literally the first person I saw. And then, you know, came Jeremy Fragrances and, you know, all those other people. But
the floodgates open.
But yeah, I literally, I had no inspiration for it. I really had a passion for it and a love for it. And I just picked up that camera and I did it. And I would have never met all of these lovely ladies.
I love
that. Given into my imposter syndrome.
I love that you talked about your dad really being like the catalyst for you. Can we quickly talk about how we got into our fragrance collections? I don't know if we've ever shared that with each other.
Yeah. I think I had, I'm trying to remember if it was I'm a recovering lawyer. I went to theater school, I went to law school. It just didn't work out. And you have lawyer money, or at least you have like intern money, and you have no time to spend it. So I was like, I have had an awkward relationship with my body. I don't fit into a lot of like designer clothing, and I am just basically too clumsy to walk in designer shoes. But I could buy designer fragrance. I could have the fragrance. So I'd buy like the Hermes or the Chanel, and it obviously didn't fill like the gnawing void in my heart that I hated what I was doing. but it was a refuge.
Yeah.
And then COVID, and everything stopped, and I was faced with, changing my life, not wanting to do what I was doing, and going to fragrance as a source for writing. And now it's this, I'm artsy fartsy, and I think perfume is art. I think there's stories to tell. Yeah. There are global stories. There are stories you'd never hear otherwise. So I will smell any perfume. I'll go to every duty free. I'll smell everything because I love it. But that's sort of, it went from like the thing I thought would fill the void to the thing that actually like gave me a significant amount of purpose. And I think my first perfume, like the first one I can really remember like loving and caring, it was like 2008, was Bobbi Brown Beach.
Oh
I remember seeing you talk about that.
I worked for Bobbi Brown.
I had no idea.
I was a freelance artist with Bobbi Brown in college, and Beach is so underrated.
It's so good.
Beach and Almost Bare are like two really underrated fragrances.
I miss Bath too. Yeah. I really miss Bath.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Okay, I would say for me, I remember just like being little and going to church with my grandma because my parents were like, oh, we were young, we didn't know this, but they were like, yeah, we graduated from church already, so you're gonna go every Sunday with your grandma. And so I remember going to her house and like spilling her little Chanel dabbers all over me. And that was kind of like the very beginning, but then since then I always loved smelling good. My mom would always get us like a little Bath and Body Works set for our stockings and stuff like that. But my very first like big girl perfume, you guys might not like it, Funmi, you might not like it, but it was Black Opium. And that was like my signature scent. I want to say junior year of high school to freshman year of college, and I loved it so much. And I got it with my first, like, not my first big girl job, but my first job.
Yeah.
And I spent my own money on it, and I got the big bottle, and I was so proud of myself, and I wore that out. I loved it so much. And then even in high school, people would telling me how good I smell, and they'd be like, what are you wearing? And I even had friends in high school buy the same perfume. But then since then, like I was saying earlier, COVID happened, everything like that. And then I bought myself a bottle of Baccarat Rouge for my birthday. This had to be like 2020. So September 2020, I got Baccarat Rouge for my birthday. And ever since then, now it's hundreds of bottles, but yeah.
So like I said, my dad introduced me to fragrance. He was a big fragrance, I don't necessarily want to call him a collector, but he just liked to smell good. He liked to dress well. He was always known like the tailored suits, and he was just a fly guy, okay? And I was a daddy's girl. I was always with my dad. So I can't really pinpoint a time in my life where I was like, oh, when I was 15, I started collecting, or 13. Like, literally my whole life, I've always been around fragrance and had fragrance. And I went to school for poli-sci and pre-law, and it was my senior year of college. And one semester before I graduated, my father passed away. And it just was like, I don't know, it's like, it just made me realize like life is so short. And it's like, I was very good at what I did, and I worked for a lot of elected officials, and I was very well connected, and it's like my life was literally so mapped out, and it would have been so easy for me to just follow this blueprint. And I was going to go to law school after I graduated. And I realized, like, yes, I'm good at this. Yes, this could make me good money. But it's like, is it really going to fulfill me, though? Is it going to make me happy? And I liked working in politics because I like to help people. And I saw politics as a way to help a lot of people. And like, changing laws, I feel like is the fastest way to affect a lot of people's lives versus, like more intimate ways of changing lives and the people in your community. So it's like, I realized at that point that, like, I wasn't going to be fulfilled in that industry, and that I wasn't seeing the kind of change I wanted to see, and I kind of realized like the dirty games of politics. And again, it wasn't like a switch went off and I'm like, oh, I'm going to leave from, law and political science and go into fragrance. But I did, just like you, always know I wanted to be one of the YouTube girlies. Yeah. I knew I had the personality for it. A girl can talk. And I'm a girl's girl, and I'm a girly girl, and so I enjoyed all of the beauty and the traveling and everything like that. But again, the imposter syndrome, I just never picked up my camera throughout high school, throughout college. So once I graduated and I had that freedom to really explore, I realized how much I loved it. And then once I got into the fragrance realm, like it was a wrap from there.
Can I say something real quick before you start? Is that I feel like some people, you have it when you're like an influencer in real life.
Exactly.
Like when your friends or people in real life are asking you, oh, where'd you get that from? What are you wearing? Stuff like that. Like you could do it online too.
Exactly.
You're an influencer in real life. You could be an influencer on the internet. Yeah.
But that has to be another conversation for like another day. Some people create content, and then some people like influence people to do things. You know?
Oh yeah.
And honestly, there's a big difference between both. Like you can have a huge audience of people that like they enjoy watching your videos and they kiki with you, but they'll never even buy like a $2 pen that you post about.
Yeah.
And I think that there's really a lot of nuance and understanding the difference between the two of them and how you build relationships with your community, but also with brand partnerships as well. That was just a segue. But for myself, I've just always enjoyed smelling good. I've always bought fragrance because I've just always been a beauty girly. Like my mom would buy me Britney Spears Fantasy in middle school. When I was in college, I worked at a department store in the fragrance department. I did that for a little bit of time. And then one of the brands I'd worked with, they were like, oh, would you like to work with us as a brand rep? So I did that. I've worked as a makeup artist. So I've just really been into beauty, but I've never been into putting myself out there on social media because I was just always really self-conscious. Like the most popular content creators I watched always had really outgoing and engaging and dynamic personalities. And I don't have that. I'm a flat personality girly. Like I'm not really super expressive. Like my humor is really subtle. So you either have to catch it, or because I'm not telling fart jokes, you know what I mean? Like, so I say all this to say that putting myself out there on social media was a form of exposure therapy for me as a way to build my own self-confidence and as a way to also just be able to see myself differently. Like, I said, I want to put myself out there in a way that it reflects how I see myself. And I really do feel this, since 2018, that how people see me online is truly how I see myself, which is a wonderful mirror of your confidence and your self-esteem. But creating fragrance and creating a community of people that they either enjoy watching you, they may not like, like you said, your personal taste, but they enjoy watching you. And also having people that said, hey, thank you so much. Like that fragrance, I got it for my mom for her birthday. She loves it. Or I wore that on my wedding day. Or I got that for my friend's graduation. Like it can really make you feel like, okay, I'm out here at least doing something and sharing something that's people are able to take something away from it.
Yeah, I think I'll share quickly mine.
Yeah.
I started, and I find this in a lot of walks in my life. I don't know if it is my ADHD and like hyperfixation or an interest, but I was 18 when I started working at Bath and Body Works, and I just started growing like a huge collection through discounts like that. And then I just felt like I need to know every single thing about this, and I do that with like secret collection, anything I like. I just become like this mass collector. The average person does not need 200 bottles of perfume. I think we can all agree. But for us, I feel like that's where it stemmed for me. Like I just hyperfixated.
And I also feel like it's the difference between like, yes, it is a collection, because some people get on that all the time on the internet. It is a collection. Some people collect different things. So like I feel like just because this is something that maybe not every, like, what am I trying to say?
People who
collect
pocket watch.
Yeah, like people collect other things. People like what's it called? Some people collect bags.
Yeah,
So,
sneakers,
like,
books. Like people have entire libraries in their home.
It's the kind of
How many times did you actually read that book? You have
It's overconsumption. You're never gonna
Exactly.
use all of it in your lifetime.
They're gonna
matter.
expire, this, that, and the third. No one gets the kind of backlash as a collector as we do as fragrance.
And that's what we really are at the end of the day, collectors.
Yeah.
And I feel like people need to.
It's also a bunch of like weird myths. Like if you properly store your fragrance, yes,
Absolutely.
things will change, things will develop, but they can be heirloom pieces you pass on. I have bottles from the 1950s.
Yeah, people act like perfume is milk. Like it has like an expiration date, and it's just gonna like become this chunky.
It's not even makeup. Yeah, no one's mad at it. But no, I see, 84 different nerd guys with sketchy goatees who have a wall of Funko Pops and absolutely no romantic partners in their life. They don't get any shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just really interesting. But I think the main thing is that it's a great uniter. Like I think culturally speaking, like I've traveled so much and I've met people from different, and no matter what it is like that you gravitate towards, everyone wants to smell good worldwide. There's ancient techniques that people use to smell good, whether it's rubbing or rose water on, spring rose water, and then
we would perfume or something on her sales, or
all the things. Like people have always wanted to smell good, and I think it's 2024. It's just a different version of the same thing.
Exactly. And thank you once again to Brown Sugar Babe. They sponsored this whole shebang. This podcast would not be here without Makeda and the entire Brown Sugar Babe team. So with that being said, what are you guys' favorite products from Brown Sugar Babe?
I think the African black soap is really underrated. It's helped. I have like really bad rough and bumpy skin. I noticed a really significant improvement. And then, of course, my husband, who steals the Madame perfume.
I would say my favorite scents are definitely Madame. I feel like that's definitely a crowd favorite. I love Creme de la Creme, and Caked Up was my first Brown Sugar Babe love. I loved it so much. I had the body scrub, I had the oil, I had the body oil and the perfume oil. I love that one so much, and it's always out of stock, so that's saying something.
Honey, my list is extensive. I mean, what's the new mango one?
Julie Mango.
The Julie Mango, so
Scent of the summer.
good. Scent of the summer. Another 13. Y'all know I love my clean scents. Miss Independent, Madam. I mean, the list goes on. So I'm just gonna shut up.
I'm definitely gonna say Madam, like I said earlier, but also the candle popcorn love is so good. I don't even want to burn it.
I
It
didn't
is
smell that one.
It's amazing.
Do we have it?
We're gonna have to. We don't have it here,
And their
but we're gonna
candles
have
are
to make sure.
strong because the banana bread one and the clean cotton one that I've smelled that I've lit at home fills up the entire house.
Yeah.
If I'm going on a desert island and I had to pick 3 brown sugar babe items, I would pick according to the Electoral College, Madam is according to our table at least, the number 1 fragrance at our table. So Madam for sure is going with me. I would also probably take, it's tough between Creme de la Creme or Caked Up, but I think I would go with Creme de la Creme.
Yeah,
I've used it so much, especially on flights when I don't want to wear a perfume, but I still want to smell good. Creme de la Creme it's easy to go to. And then obviously I would bring a candle just because I still want to have something that reminds me of home. So those would be my 3 desert island picks from Brown Sugar Babe.
I love that.
We also have some scent superlatives, some things we think the best of, most likely to, things we think you should definitely check out.
All right, starting with the first category, most likely to get you folded like a lawn chair.
Who goes first?
Let me think.
I'm gonna say Creme de la Creme Brown Sugar Babe.
Mine would be Fire at Will by Jovoy Paris.
Mine would be, I'm not saying it got me folded like a lawn chair already, but according to research, Nota Sugar by Ulika.
That's a new one too.
Girl,
Mine
mind your business.
Not too much.
Escapade Gourmand.
Okay.
I can't deviate from what lived experience has taught me. Kismet olfactive tuberose tantra.
Oh, I'm taking notes.
I'll send you a decant.
Write this down.
Yeah, please.
Next category is most likely to get you a promotion at work. We'll start with Khadija.
I'm gonna say Bashiami by Bugari.
I'm gonna name 2. It's gonna be Aventus for her and YSL Libre because I think it's 2 different types of boss women.
I'm going to go with least studied because, first of all, studied is in the name. You're doing the work you're supposed to be doing, and it's like a very pretty pear and Brett, not offensive. Like everyone in the workplace likes you, basically.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a slightly different direction just because I think there's something nice about owning and stepping into your power, and that is what Sarah Baker Leopard does. It is right on the line of enticing and intoxicating, but still quite chic. It's you wear that, and either you already are powerful, or you will become by virtue of wearing it.
Love that.
This is a very recent favorite as of 48 hours ago that I think will get me into any room I ever want to be in. But Victoria Beckham,
Yes.
Portofino, 97.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, ma'am.
You can't tell me I'm not. It's like I'm not cashing the checks.
Yeah.
I'm the one that writes your check.
Hello?
Next category, most likely to get you chased down the street. I mean, we all want to be chased.
Okay, I have one. Well, I might have 2. All-time Arabian's Tonka by Montal. I love that one. The compliments I've gotten in the club, like just anywhere I wear it, and it's a beast mode projector. And if you want to be chased, people have to smell you.
Yeah.
And then another one I will say, another one is Vanilla Powder. This one I got relatively recently within the last few months. Yes, I have the big bottle at home too. It's a beast mode fragrance. Every time I wear it, I get compliments. It will last on your clothes even after you wash it. This will get you chased down.
Ooh.
For me, it is Royal Amber by Orientica. That is my most complimented fragrance in my whole collection. And it's supposed to be a dupe for Herbapora, but I personally think it's better and a little sweeter and a little like that sharp musk is a little more toned down. So that eats every time. People chase me around stores like
I
clockwork.
smell the vanilla powder right now, and it smells so good. It's like
Oh my gosh, that's
coconut,
so good.
vanilla, musk, Palo Santo. So luxurious. This layered with the new mango with Bonnie.
Oh.
Amazing.
This smells like
Doing
you're
that tonight.
on a vacation in Cabo and you have on like these obnoxiously big sunglasses and like white linen, and it's just like a rich bougie woman who's so happy to be out of the office.
I would say,
It's an imagery I like.
I like
ooh,
it.
that smells really good. I would say mine is kind of oversaturated online, but in real life, the people can't get enough of Nishane 100 Silent Ways.
Yes.
It is going to get you stopped, if not multiple times a day, every single day.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say the one that I frequently get the most. Actually, no, just recently, Peach's Revenge
Yeah.
by Sarah Baker.
Sarah Baker
got
knocks
that
out
back
the park.
in February or March during Exons. And since I've worn it, there's never been a time that someone hasn't made a comment, whether it's in my Uber, whether it's at an event, whether it's in the elevator. Like, oh my God, you smell so good.
She puts
It's
some
an extra,
captions
so
up.
you're definitely gonna smell it down the
I
street.
layered this one with Pestilence Use. I've done it a few times. It's so good.
It sounds like it would be an amazing combo.
Yeah. Mine is something I have maintained. Like if I had to be winnowed down to exactly one fragrance, it's the only thing I would wear, which is Arquiste Misfit. It is ambrette, carrot seed, and patchouli, and it doesn't seem like it would work, but it's like the sisterhood of the traveling perfume. If you put it on, it works. I get the best compliment I can possibly get for that, which is you smell good. I've never smelled something like that before. I don't know what Rodrigo Flores put in that. I don't know what Carlos did to him. Rodrigo's is a doll. He's a doll.
Oh my gosh, I love him.
But yeah, the Arquistes, any of the Arquistes, the runner up there is Poe, which is a skin scent. I've got to get you a decan of Zoe because it's so good.
Next category, most likely to get you ate up. We'll start with our resident ate up girl, Jade.
I would say shameless plug, Pestilence Use would be. It smells edible. It smells lickable. Yeah. Ankle sprayable. It is. It's yummy.
Ooh.
And I have put this to the test over the past year since even trying the mods. It's been through some appointments.
Oh,
Hello.
And
a resident appointment girl,
it did what needs to be done.
Dr. Jade.
I actually got put onto this from Funmi. Wave Child is so good. It is such a realistic, juicy watermelon. I'm obsessed. This will definitely get you ate up.
Ooh.
Yes. For me, it's going to be Cruz del Sur 2 by Xerjoff. And it is a delectable, sweet mango that does have like this green characteristic to it. But the sweetness of that tropical, like guava-like mango quality is just out of this world. And although it's not like it is gourmand, but not as gourmand as like an Escapade gourmand. But that's going to do it every time.
I don't want this to be my answer, but I have empirical evidence that it's gentle fluidity gold. I don't want it to be gentle
That's the
fluidity
wifey
gold.
perfume.
Yeah.
But it is like it is not just like the ate up perfume. It is like a marriage proposal at the end of it.
I was thinking about that one for the Boss Woman one.
I thinking that for most complimentary or something.
I think it's something to do with the performance, but also just it's just unfortunately just I have a thing about paying that much money for a vanilla.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have to.
It's a unique vanilla because it's
a
not
really
necessarily gourmand. It's like that ambery, golden, like very sophisticated take on vanilla.
There's a benzoin element in there
Yes.
too. It's good. It just smells good.
Yeah, that'll get you a promotion at work.
I think mine is my unlucky fragrance. I don't know if you guys remember, I told you about a fragrance I've had that has broken twice, but it's so freaking good. And it's called Helwa by Awaz, or Awaz by Helwa. And it has vanilla it has vanilla, caramel, amber, and toffee. It smells so incredible. It smells kind of similar to Vaniclia by Mazzolari, but it's a little bit airier. Like the toffee note's a little more pronounced, and it's an ankle sprayer. Like I'm about to buy my third bottle and
Do you
just.
remember how that smelled? I'm gonna look it up. Or not smelled, spelled.
So I can actually tell you, it's the fragrance is called Awaz. It's AHWAZ. Oh, the brand. Oh, it's actually called Helwa. It's Helwa. It's called Helwa by Awaz.
I found it.
But yeah, it's so good. Like I'm about to buy it again, and I'm gonna bubble wrap it so it doesn't break. But I think third time's the charm. Final category, most likely to not break the bank because we love a budget-friendly baddie. We'll start with LC.
There are 3 that I think you should check out brand-wise. Number 1, Kumba Made. You can go to your local Whole Paycheck or wherever the crunchy granola moms shop. They'll probably have a full set. They sit at about $12.50. They are delightful. Tunisian amber paste is a dead ringer from Musk Ravageur. And if you don't want to pay $2.45 for that, that's a great option. Another one I'm very, very fond of is the Gallivant line. Really sweet guy, inspired in a really informed way by different travels. If you want to smell like sort of the nicest, cleanest wasabi note, which I didn't even know could be a thing, Tokyo is a favorite.
I remember liking Aqua.
Aqua's a really pretty leather, and those are $95.
Oh, that's a good price. So everything will be under $100.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will say to give a brand Le Monde Gourmand $25. You can't go wrong. They have something for everyone. They have some more fresh scents, some skin scents. They have gourmands, of course. And then also, if you really like gourmands, the packaging is not my favorite, but Kais. Like, I love me some Delicity marshmallow, and I also really love Cocoa alla Vaniglia because it has that cocoa butter coconut vanilla, and I really love that one in the summer. And even just wearing to bed because it's so comforting. I feel like cocoa butter is such a comforting note for Black women.
Yeah,
like, I
for
love
sure.
it. So,
Yeah.
it's like Kais.
Yeah. This is under 100, but it's a little closer to the pricey end. I think it ranges about $60, but when I first started buying it, it was around like 40, 50-ish. But Turquotic by MAC. I will never stop buying that fragrance. I've been wearing it since high school. It's definitely one of my signature scents. And again, like you said about one of the fragrances that had the carrot note, it's one
Misfit.
of those ones that when people smell it, they're like, what is that?
Turquotic's amazing.
Yeah, it's not an easily pinpointable kind of fragrance the way that you know Baccarat when you smell it, you know Black Opium when you smell it. But Turquotic is fresh, aquatic as the name suggests, and it's just beautiful. Like it has this androgynous unisex vibe to it that's just so clean and fresh. I love it.
We definitely got to give a shout out to the Arab fragrance. It's always
for
affordable
sure.
and it's going to smell amazing and not break the bank. I love really anything by Paris Corners. My favorite distributor in the US is Aroma Concepts. So one of my favorite is Tuskegee Peach Tea.
I love Tuskegee.
Oh my God,
I love
so
Tuskegee.
good.
It's
We
all
love a
your
good
fault.
peach.
I ordered that within about 2 minutes of you mentioning. We all
Yeah,
did.
yeah. Literally.
It's all Jade's fault.
All of us onto the peach.
You
All
did.
Jade's fault.
Again, I layer it with Pestle Use to make the peach like brighter. It's so good.
I cannot wait.
So good for summer.
It's very
I
on
love
brand
it.
of you to make a peach fragrance after you put all of us onto a peach fragrance.
perfect.
The first time we met.
I think for myself, I will go with, if you're looking for a brand at Sephora for under $100, Forever Mood. These bottles are 50 mls and they're priced at $79. And then they also have travel sizes as well, which is great. Like, not a lot of new brands launch a like travel size and a full bottle. I also do love the Arab brands as well. Like, one of my favorite brands is Swiss Arabian. Their fragrances are not only like usually under $60, but they're 100 mls and they last forever.
Yeah.
The first time I sprayed Shagaf Oud, I didn't understand. I had to lay down. I had to sit down. I was like, oh, spray it on the back of the shoulders.
Yeah.
Do not spray this under your neck. You will need to lay down. But you can definitely, you don't have to break the bank to smell good. Like, we love that you can smell good at all price points, and there's no snootiness at this table
Not a bit.
when it comes to a great
smells good, it
fragrance.
smells good.
Smells good, smells good. Okay, so this is the big awards for the night. Is this like the Oscars? This is our big awards. So for our big award for the night, we are doing our favorite brand of 2024. What was everyone's standout brand for this year?
Brown Sugar Babe.
Brown Sugar Babe.
Brown Sugar Babe.
Do you think I'm going to contradict it? It's Brown Sugar Babe.
I think the Electoral College has agreed. Brown Sugar Babe was the winner. All right, so for the next award, we have Fragrance of the Year. What was the fragrance that stood out as the It Girl fragrance for 2024? Exalté. Oh my God, wow. How did you know?
Girl, you did that. Please.
Thank you guys so much. And I appreciate all your support. Like, we launched in 2022 and it's been lots of highs and lows. You guys have seen me cry and rage, and it's through it all. You've been so supportive. And I just want to say, I hope to be able to pour into all of you the same way that you've poured into me times 10. So thank you so much. And for the final award, drum roll, please. Best New Fragrance.
If you mind, I'll go first. I would have to say Pestle Use. Clap if you
All in
agree.
favor? Yes.
Wow, well, thank you all so much for attending our fragrance awards, our first annual fragrance awards.
Refreshments in the back.
Refreshments in the bag, hooch in the fridge, bartender on deck.
Everyone wants a
Hello.
car.
You
We're-
get a car.
We'll be Ubering, so we'll be driving safely. But we appreciate all of you, and feel free to submit your recommendations for next year's, and we are open to sponsors as well.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
We're so grateful that you all have joined us for this inaugural series, for what we've been doing. We don't grow our followings without you and your input, so please feel free to drop us a line. Compliments, praise, and questions will be given priority. Critique will be deleted immediately. This is not, we will accept no constructive feedback at this time.
Right.
We're not interested.
Keep it to yourself.
So none of this would have been possible without our sponsor, Brown Sugar Babe. Thank you again.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you, Makeda.
Thank you. We love you.
Wrap.
Okay.
That's a wrap.
Hearts.